But that brings up another point, which is this idea of considering nonprofit companies and companies with lower profiles as you are somebody who wants to get into cybersecurity or grow your career. And I know, Nancy, when we talked about this, this was a big deal for you. Why don't you say some more about that?
Absolutely. I always chose to work for these companies that were these very big, well-known organizations. And I one day decided that I wanted to look past that. And I started to look at companies that were based upon a mission, and that mission not related to making money for shareholders, but truly just trying to do the right thing for the right reasons. I thought I'd have to take like a significant cut, and I thought all sorts of things, which really just ended up not happening. I had this very small list of companies that I started to apply for. And as I interviewed, I realized, I love this. I love this. I love this. I want to work here. And I actually went home and talked to my husband about a cut that I could take in my salary. And it didn't happen. I ended up not having to take a cut. And I just got to work on interesting things. So it opened up a whole new level and a whole new group of opportunities to apply for. I encourage people to stop, not only think about the big companies like the Googles or the Salesforces or the JP Morgans, but think about the little companies like, or the little things like the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a fabulous place to work, or the DOD, or
I love how you call the Fed system a little place. That's so cute. It is the opposite of a little place. There's 12 regional banks in the country, and it is a massive system. But but you're on the inside, and I know things look different when you're on the inside.
And what I will say, coming from, I worked for JP Morgan, which was gigantic before I worked for the Fed. And each one of the little Federal Reserve banks is their own little bank. We really partner very well together. We have a whole system IT function, but it feels like I'm coming into this very small bank of about 1,000 people when I go to work in Philadelphia, and everybody knows everybody. And,
and people take care of each other. I remember you told me what a stark contrast there was culturally coming from a big commercial bank to the Fed, and how stunned you were, but in a good way, right?
And I tell this story that my first week, we were looking at eliminating a position, which doesn't happen very often in my bank. And I sat with HR that first week in this meeting where they just talked about the person and how they could bridge that person to retirement, and what were the things the person would be interested in. And I said, is this something that you do for this person? And they're like, for everybody. We really try to kind of look at the individual on our human resource decisions. And I was just stunned that, where am I? Is this an alternate universe? But because where you came from, right? It would have been, here's a severance package. Best of luck to you. We love you, but it's time for you to go. And a great severance package. But this really approaches this very differently. And we actually took and trained that person into another role, and all sorts of other great things that happened. I can't say it can happen across the board for every role, but they really do try to look at the individual, because they are small. It's 1,000 people that you're trying to manage versus 100,000 people that you're trying to.
Right. And so they have the bandwidth to be able to do that. Jason and I run small companies, right? I'm a small business owner. Jason's a small business owner, and I love making opportunities for people. And so, I think it's a great idea to encourage our audience to look at nonprofits, or just there's a lot of B2B companies that as a consumer, you just never hear about. So go on LinkedIn Jobs, go other places. Jason, what's your take on this idea of nonprofit companies or overlooked companies in the job search?
Yeah, I think, especially the small and medium-sized businesses are ones that you might want to target, especially as somebody trying to get somebody to take a chance on you at the entry-level roles. Earlier we talked about the fact that, if you're a small startup, you need somebody who has all the exquisite skill sets to be able to do the job. That has not been my experience in my company. We're a small company. We're 15 people as of this recording, and we're continuing to grow. But for us, we hire a lot more for aptitude and knowledge and the ability for them to gain that knowledge, right? So I may not hire somebody who has 100% of the skills like you were talking about, For me, if they have 50 or 60%, that's good enough for us because we can train to knowledge. I mean, we're a training company. That's what we do. I can help you learn how to do pen tests, and I can help you learn how to do a cybersecurity scan and those kind of things. But I can't teach you how to be a good person who cares and actually wants to do the work and that kind of stuff. The other thing I think with smaller companies is sometimes they're more apt to take a chance on you and allow you to move outside of your particular role. So you might get hired on as the IT person at a small, medium-sized company that has 100 people, and you can probably go to your boss and say, hey, I really like this cybersecurity stuff. I noticed that we're really not doing any Nessus scans. We probably should be doing Nessus scans once a week to find out what's vulnerable. Do you mind if I do that? Oh, sure, go right ahead, right? If I try to do that in the DoD or the FBI, they'd be like, no, we've got people for that. You're not in that role. Go away, right? And so it's a lot more strict and rigid when you go to these larger companies than in a smaller, medium-sized company. And so I think there's a really good opportunity in small and medium-sized companies to really almost make your job and get the skill sets you want and be able to build that experience that way.
Yeah, Jason, would you tell the story about somebody that we helped recently who had a marketing background, and she was trying to cross over into cyber, and she ended up getting a really amazing opportunity with a small company. Would you mind giving us like a thumbnail sketch of what happened to her? Because I think it fits right into what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Back in our January hired course, our hired program, we had one of our students. She came to us. She had a master's degree in marketing. She had 10 to 15 years of experience in the marketing realm, but she really didn't have any IT experience, but she wanted to get into cybersecurity. The closest thing she had done to IT was about 10 or 15 years ago. She worked at a cell phone store doing some tech and hands-on with cell phones. So very, very minimal background, no real background in cybersecurity. She was able to find a small company. I think the company has less than 25 to 50 people in it. And when she interviewed at that company, they liked her so much because of her personality, her willingness to learn, her ability, that they actually kind of created a position for her. She went in to apply for an analyst type position, a cybersecurity analyst type position. And they said, well, you don't really have the skills for that, but you have this really great marketing background and you really have this really great personality. We need somebody who can work with our B2B clients and teach them about our different offerings and teach them about cybersecurity. And at the same time, we'll help build you into this analyst that you want to be as well. But she ended up getting a job doing this almost cybersecurity training, internal trainer and awareness campaign person, because they said, oh, we see your marketing background, we think that's a benefit, even though you don't have the cybersecurity background, and we'll put those two things together and then be able to have a job that works for you. And I believe she's starting last week or this week. But it was a really great opportunity how they kind of created this job. And if I went to the FBI and applied for something, they're not going to go, oh, you have a great background, but we don't have a job for you. Let's create a job for you, right? But that's what this company did, because they, sometimes you're interviewing with the owner. They have that ability to make that decision. And so sometimes these smaller companies are willing to take more of a risk on you and be able to create a position for you based on your skill set, where they see you going, how you can adapt and move up that way.
There's also a million opportunities within even the larger companies where they're looking to add additional resources free of charge. In your free time, would you like to work on this project because they need somebody? Volunteer.
Yeah.
There's just no reason why not.
Yeah, and also another thing people don't realize, and at the risk of beating this subject to death, but I just want to say one more thing. I can't tell you how many people come to us and say, oh, I'm just a help desk technician, or, oh, I take care of some servers or whatever, but I really want to get into cyber. And I'm like, you're already, half into cybersecurity. You just don't see it. Let me help you see it, because, hey, do you ever, help somebody reset their password? Do you ever, create a file share on the network and set some permissions on it or whatever? Do you ever install a patch? Guess what? That's all cybersecurity. So if you're in a position now, whatever it is, look around and ask yourself, where is the cybersecurity that I'm, in the job that I already have, and just start leaning into that. I think is another tip that we can share with you about how to move in the direction you want to move into, based on where you are now.